Happy Thursday. Welcome to another live stream. This one actually, I rearranged to have this one this week because I thought it was important and I've had some questions lingering about this topic. So here we are. I would love to know, good morning, Diana. How are you? I would love to know where you are located. I do see some familiar names, and I'm sure we'll have some more people joining as well. But I wanted to give you the free download for today. So I am going to copy that in the chat. So this particular live stream is really about being on the other side of the transaction, the buyer's agent. And so I thought it was a really great idea to explain how you can best represent your buyers in a short sale situation. So as we're going through this, if there's any questions, hi, Suzanne. How are you? If anyone's watching live in the Facebook group, feel free to post any questions. I'll do my best to keep an eye on that. Or please post in the chat. All right. Diana, where are you located? I know that you've been on here before, but if you could just refresh my memory, that would be awesome. And anyone else, you can post where you're located. That would be awesome. Here is the download for today. I may post it a few more times as we get more people in this live stream. All right, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and we're going to go ahead and get started. Okay. Oh, California. Very cool. Thank you for posting that, Diana. All right, how to best represent buyers in a short sale situation. So I'm going to go over 3 different slides. There's actually a lot of information, and so I do provide you these slides. That's the link that I posted in the chat. And again, if you have any questions, I absolutely love questions. So please post them in the chat. I will either pause or I will get to them at the end. Please stay on for the whole thing because I do have a announcement I want to make at the end of this live stream. So again, if you're watching live in the group, great. I see Susan is watching. Yes. All righty. Let's go to the first slide. So getting to know your buyer. I'm sure all of you have a buyer's consultation or meet or do, just a preliminary, hey, what are you looking for and all that. So I would ask some additional questions during your initial consultation. So just for example, I don't take on a ton of buyers. The buyers I do take on, it may have been referral from either family or friends or one of my attorneys. So I do have a buyer consult on Monday. And so I want to make sure you guys understand why you're asking these questions. But I do think it's really important to set certain expectations. And that's, we will talk about the expectations on the last slide. So questions to ask. The first one is, would you be open to making an offer on a short sale? And would you be open to making an offer on a foreclosure? So that's really going to start the conversation. And then you want to make sure and ask them, hey, do you understand the short sale process? Okay. Now you don't have to go into extreme full details like you would when you're holding the hand of a seller, but you do want your buyer to understand a couple of things. Hey, a short sale means that the seller is behind on their mortgage and they're upside down on the mortgage. And also explain to them, hey, it is going to be a lengthy process. So I would give them the general 3 to 6 months if they're willing to wait. So if someone comes to you and you ask them like, hey, what is your time frame? And they're like, oh, I have, like, for example, I have a buyer closing tomorrow and they needed to find something by like March. Well, there's no way they would be able to get into a short sale situation, okay? So hopefully one of the questions you're asking is like time frame. So if they have the time to wait, then, just tell them, hey, it's going to take about 3 to 6 months to complete this. So I would give them that general overview, answer any questions that they may have. Anyone here have buyers ask specific questions when it comes to short sales? I'm curious if you could just post it in the chat. I'm just seeing if there's any additional questions. I know so anyone that just joined us, welcome. I'm going to post the free download again. We are talking about the initial buyer consultation and questions that you want to ask your buyer. You really want to make sure that they understand short sale, the difference between short sale and foreclosure. And so, again, are you open to making an offer on a short sale? Yes or no? Are you open to making an offer on a foreclosure? Yes or no? So if they say yes for the short sale, then I would just give, again, a general overview of how it works. Okay, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, a short sale situation means that the seller's behind on their mortgage. They owe more on the property than what it's worth. It's upside down. So give them an example. Be very, very simple. Hey, they may owe $250, but in reality, it's worth $200. And then let them know that short sale does not mean short time frame, okay? It means that the bank is being shorted in the amount that's owed. Also let them know the time frame. I would just give a general time frame, 3 to 6 months, like I said, because if they do end up making an offer on a short sale, then we're going to get more specifics from the listing agent, which we'll talk about, okay? So there's that. So explain that. For a foreclosure, so if they say yes, this would be an REO. So that is going to be a little bit different. My expertise is not in REOs. I have done them before, but it's still good for a buyer to understand that. Hi, Karen. So Karen was one of the agents that was like, hey, I would love a training on this. So welcome, Karen. I'm going to post again, if you don't see the download, I have the slides right there for you. So REO, it's a little bit different. So the buyer's agent is going to have to submit the offer inside usually some sort of system. It doesn't necessarily go to the listing agent. I think it depends, on who the end investor is. But the banks are going to probably see more than one offer. So you may be getting the bank may be getting an offer, and then maybe there's going to be a couple of other offers. So the REO process, though, should not take as long as a short sale. So remember, in a short sale situation, the seller is still on the title of the property. So essentially, they must still be involved throughout the whole transaction. In an REO, the seller is no longer on title. The bank has already taken over. So I would say you should be able to get a response in 48 to 72 hours, depending on, maybe it's a little bit shorter, maybe it's a little bit longer. So if your buyer is making offer on a foreclosure, the process is not going to be as long. So that might be an option. Okay, Diana, when they say yes, if they ask, can you tell me about a short sale or foreclosure? Yeah, so that's what we're going over right now. So if you're confused on anything that I'm saying, please put it in the chat and I will explain. So after you explain that short sale process generally and the foreclosure process, then you want to ask again. I do that because I want buyers to truly understand in a short sale, it's time consuming. You have to wait. We'll talk about inspections. It's as is. And in the end, they could wait 3 to 6 months and the bank could just say no. So I don't love when my buyers want to make an offer on a short sale unless I am the one in full control handling it. Because there's a lot of agents here and probably across the United States that do not know how to properly navigate that type of transaction. Okay. So just ask again, are you open to it? Yes or no? Your buyers will truly appreciate these types of conversations. Like on the listing side, you want to hold the seller's hand through the foreclosure process. Same thing here. We want to educate the buyer as much as possible so that way they can make the best informed decision for themselves, their family moving forward. Okay. Any questions on that particular side in the original like consultation and the questions that you need to ask the buyers up front. Any questions on that? Let me just see if there's anyone in the chat. Hey, Ed. Yes, I know you're Oklahoma. Okay, I guess we can move on now. Yes, I know you're Oklahoma. Okay, I guess we can. I clicked on that. Sorry. All right, let's go back to that. Does anyone not have the download? If they don't, please post in the chat. I will get that to you. I know as you log in, you don't see any past comments. All right, questions to ask the listing agent. Now, this one's pretty important. Well, all of this is really important, but there's some certain things that you want to ask the listing agent prior to an offer. And so if you're pretty active inside of our group, Karen posted last week some questions, and that made me think, okay, I probably need to move up this live stream. So this live stream actually wasn't planned until I think another month, but I rearranged some things. So these are like, okay, you're the buyer's agent and I'm the listing agent. So what questions should you be asking the listing agent? And why are these so important? They are important because your buyer is about ready to make an offer on a short sale. And we want to make sure that that listing agent knows what the heck is going on. So there have been a handful of times where I would go to the listing agent, ask these questions, and I'm just baffled by them not being able to answer any of them. And then I go to my buyer and I say, hey, just from my due diligence, I don't think this agent has any idea what's going on. So yeah, you could still make the offer, but I'm guessing this is not going to go through. It's happened to me for, yeah. Lender told me to get it done in a few days. I lost the buyer. Yeah, so here's the thing. This group, Thrive in Real Estate, is a short sale expert. I really try to find agents nationwide who want to take the niche of distress sales and become a listing agent. Listings are the way to go. You can make 3.5% on the list side with the short sales. And we need more agents like myself and everyone inside of my coaching program to help these homeowners nationwide. They need people like us. We don't want them to get taken advantage of. So it's hard. But I thought this was really important so you guys can kind of get, a little bit of an idea, because, if you get a referral from a buyer or from whatever, and it's a buyer, then you're going to want to be able to properly explain this stuff, right? Okay. So where is your seller at in the foreclosure process? Okay. So, they don't have to exactly tell you, oh, they're 2 months and 5 days behind. But we do want to know, are they behind on payments, or do they have an auction date? In my 17 years of handling short sale listings, I could probably count on one hand how many times an agent asked if there was an auction date on their property, on my listing. Maybe 2 times. Definitely not more than 5. But ask that, okay? You guys got to do your due diligence for your buyer, okay? You do not want them to get into a situation where they're not going to get their dream house. And even if you explain that to them up front, if in the end you could maybe even just lose them, because even though you told that to them, they really, really wanted that house. Does that make sense? Okay, who is handling the negotiations? So I know some states do not allow the listing agent to handle negotiations. Fine. And if that is you, then that's something that we do work through in the coaching program. Me, my team, we handle all of that. I did it all myself, and then I actually trained someone else to do that. But it is important to know who handles the negotiations, and does that individual have experience? Google them. I always tell people, Google's your friend. Google me. There's tons of information on short sales, okay? Need handout. Hey, Bonnie, how are you? All right, here's a handout.
Doing okay.
All right. And then I always like to know, like, well, how many deals have they closed? Okay, so here And I'm super passionate about trying to spread as much awareness. I absolutely hate when a listing agent says, "Oh, I'm an expert in short sales." And then you can absolutely go in and see how many deals that they've closed as a short sale. Do you ever look that information up? I do. And, you are not an expert if you've closed six, a dozen short sales. It's not, okay? Every short sale situation, FHA, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, private, one mortgage, two mortgage, three mortgage, partial claim, it is so totally different, okay? So you really just need to understand who's handling the negotiations. And I would take notes, just take notes on all this, because you do want to go back to your buyer and explain to them, hey, these are the questions that I went through with the listing agent, and here's my recommendation. I always give my recommendation. However, in the end, it is going to be up to your buyer. If they want to make an offer on a short sale, you can't tell them no. You just have to give them all of the, all of your due diligence, and they can make the decision themselves. How many mortgages? I've asked this question before, and the agent doesn't even know. Oh, and then of course, who is a short sale lender? So I like asking that because that is the one of the biggest questions that you should be asking as a listing agent when you go to the short sale listing. So if you don't even know what that is, that's a problem. That's a huge red flag for me. If I have a buyer and I'm communicating with the listing agent and they do not know any of these questions, it's like red flag goes off in my head and I'm just like, oh no, this is not good. But I've worked with every single lender. So when the agent tells me what lender it is, then I'm going to get an idea. The other big question is it FHA or conventional? And they should know this after they take on the listing, okay? And if it is FHA, then you're going to have to ask them, have they done a loan modification or not? Or have they gone through the waterfall process? That's really what you should ask. Ask that first, because you'll know right away if they have no clue what they're talking about. They're gonna be like, they'll pause or they'll completely not understand what you mean by waterfall. In an FHA situation, the sellers, whether they want to keep the property or not, whether it's vacant or not, they are required to go through a waterfall process, which is a loan modification. Okay. And so if they've already gone through that loan modification, then you can proceed right away with the short sale. If not, that loan modification and then the short sale is going to take months and months. I would say 6+. Sometimes it's taken me longer because the waterfall process is just been slow. Okay. So again, anyone that's just joining us, I'm going to post the download again. If there are questions, please post them in the chat. This particular live stream is talking about how to best represent your buyers in a short sale situation. All right, have you reviewed the title commitment? And is anything on there wacky? I think this is one of the biggest mistakes agents make, is they don't review the title commitment. So one of the trainings I did in the coaching program is like, I literally took two different title commitments, a dirty one and a clean one, and I show you, okay, here's what a dirty one looks like, here's what a clean one looks like. How do you make the dirty one clean? Sometimes you're not able to. And so what you really want is, okay, there's one mortgage, there's two mortgage, or a partial claim is fine. But having all these other liens or judgments is going to pose, it's going to be a problem. And so you do want to just ask, hey, did you review title? What's on it? Anything wacky? Okay. In my 17 years of doing this, not one agent has ever asked me about the title. Not one. So hopefully I can share this replay and get this out to all of you, and you can properly educate your buyer and then know what questions you should be asking the listing agent. And then also, how are updates handled throughout the process? So my team, we call 2 days a week and we call the same time. So our schedule for lender updates has been the same for 17 years. And the way that we update inside of our system is the same for the last 17 years. It's a simple system. but it's also important to communicate. If you've been on these live streams before, my 3 pillars are organization, consistency, and communicate. Okay, so if they are not communicating with you, that's also a problem. Okay, so after gathering all of this information, and you do want to go back to your buyer and explain all this, and then I just say, hey, I've gathered all this information. These are my red flags. What does a red flag mean? Well, in the end, you could make this offer and then nothing could ever come of it. So you have to just know that if you're making an offer on this property, that may or may not happen. It may not close. And so if they're okay with that, then, let them make the final decision. Okay. Questions on this slide? No. All right. If there are, just go ahead and post. We're going to move on. So let's talk about expectations. So before offer and acceptance, during the process, and then after. So before the offer, and Karen, I think we talked a little bit about this. One of the things is the inspection. So we're going to start at the top, actually, just so I don't get ahead of myself. So what is going to have to be provided in order to make an offer? Well, it's typical, either a pre-approval letter if it's financing, or proof of funds. Now, the banks are pretty picky when it comes to that. So you do want to make sure that the pre-approval and or proof of funds is the exact same name that is on the contract, okay? So if it's proof of funds and it's in some name, like the contract has, Henry Smith, and the proof of funds is in his company, it's not gonna probably work, okay? The other thing is these banks sometimes, just to give you a heads up, they will want not only the pre-approval. So if the pre-approval says, okay, they're putting down 20%, then the bank, the short sale bank, will come back and ask for proof of that 20%. Okay, that's why I say sometimes both right here. Okay. Yeah, so Karen said I had to show proof of fund for the closing costs too. Yeah, so they do, not every bank asks for that, but just that is a question that the short sale lender may ask. Now, I don't ask for all of that up front for a buyer. I either just submit proof of funds or pre-approval, and I wait for the bank to ask for that. Okay. All right, sold as is. I'm pretty sure buyers don't quite understand this concept, or maybe the agents aren't properly explaining it, but in a short sale situation, it is an as-is sale. The sellers have absolutely no money to fix anything, so you have to take it as is. If you go and you do the inspection and then you ask for a credit, the bank is going to say no. There's no credits for repairs, as is, period. So please have that conversation with your buyers up front. The expectation is that, hey, Mr. Buyer, this is a short sale, and all short sales are sold as is. So whatever you find in the home inspection, you can either walk away, or you're just going to have to take it. It's as is. The seller's not going to make repairs. The bank's not going to make repairs. The listing agent ain't going to make repairs. Okay, so there's no credits. Now, this is what Karen and I spoke about last week. Let's talk about the inspection. Years ago, I would allow the buyer's agent or the buyer to wait to do the inspection after we got the approval. I no longer do that, and here's why. Again, it is as is, and there's no credits. So if we go in and the offer is $400,000, we get it approved, yay, we got the approval letter. Well, my team wants to move towards closing. But if we have to then go through an inspection and then the buyer's like, oh, this doesn't work, I want a credit. Well, guess what? We can't do anything at that point. So my requirement is, and I put this in the listing, buyer must have inspection done prior to us submitting the short sale offer packet. After the seller signs, but even if the seller signs, it's not a done deal. In the end, it's always going to be up to their lender. Okay. So I always have the inspection done prior to my team submitting that short sale offer packet. That way I know A, they are ready to go after we get the approval letter, or B, maybe they want to adjust the price because the inspection was bad. And so let's say the offer was 400 and they're like, all right, this inspection was awful, but we still want the house. We're going to reduce our price to 390. Fine. But guess what, Mr. Buyer's agent and buyer? Again, in the end, it is going to be up to the bank. So they may still come back and counter over 400. So a lot of that stuff, the BPO and really how to get the bank and the appraisal to come your way, we do teach a lot of that inside of the actual coaching program. So usually you make an offer on a short sale. I always encourage my sellers to sign it because in the end, it is always going to be up to the lender. So the lender could just go in and counter, and then that's where we just negotiate with the bank. Okay. Unless it's absolutely ridiculous. Like here, we get these offers from all these investors who haven't even seen the property. That's another requirement I have is you have to see the property. So does that make sense on the before expectations? Are there questions on that? No questions? All right, there's the download again for today. Let me see if anyone. Hey, Vivian. All right, let's move on. All right, during the short sale process. So again, this was the question we asked the listing agent, what about weekly updates? So the way that my team handles it is once the short sale offer packet is submitted, everyone gets alerted through our system. And then every week, twice a week, we have the same communication. So the listing agent, I'm sorry, the buyer's agent is on that, all parties. So the attorneys, so everyone gets one message on what is going on with the short sale. It was received. We're missing this. The BPO was ordered or whatever. Okay. Now, after you ask those questions of how many mortgages and who backs the loan and all that, you'll get a better idea of how long it's going to take. So for example, if it is an FHA, I would probably say 6+ months. Now, if it's a Fannie Mae, it is probably to the last screen. Yeah, hold on, Diana. Can you not see my slides? The last screen is just right. Oh, you mean the presentation right here, this screen? Do you have the download? It's on the download. But if you have a question on this screen, then let me know. All right. So again, if it's FHA, oh, the Facebook, okay. Do you have a question? I'm just checking to see who's asking questions on the live feed, that's all. So again, if it's FHA, then you want to prep your buyers that it's probably going to take 6+ months, longer, maybe closer to 9, depending if they have not gone through the waterfall process. Now, if it's a Fannie Mae deal, it's probably going to take less than 3 months, okay? So really make sure you set that expectation. If the listing agent is not giving you updates, then you do want to go in and ask for updates. What we don't want is that your buyer gets antsy and ends up backing out. Most of the time, I am able to make it work as a listing agent with that first buyer. Not always, but it's mainly because I communicate so much with all parties. Again, your buyer must be willing to wait, okay? And they also must be willing to negotiate, okay? So that means, hey, you got to wait this out. Are you willing to wait? Again, if they don't have that time, then encourage them not to make an offer on a short sale because you really don't know how long it's going to take. You can give a general time frame and make sure you let them know, even if the list price say was 200,000 and they make an offer at 200,000, it does not mean that the bank is going to say yes. The bank still has to go through their short sale process, and that does not start until the packet has been received. So just make sure that they're aware of that, okay? Does that make sense? Hey Karen, so it does not matter. It doesn't matter. It is a requirement if they have an FHA mortgage, regardless if they want to keep the property or not, they are required to go through the loan modification process. If they are denied, then they can we have an opt-out letter that we have them sign. And or if they were denied, they can go straight to short sale. If they were approved, they don't have to proceed. They could still do the short sale, but it is still required regardless. Good question. Okay, you're welcome. All right, so after the approval letter and up to closing. So that approval letter, and I'm sure on one of these upcoming live streams, I'm actually going to show you one and explain all the details just so you have an idea. It may sound simple, but these are the types of things you really need to understand for your buyer, for your seller, and all parties involved. So the seller's lender, the short sale bank, they will give you a deadline inside of that approval. It's not like you can just go in and close. So the contract, I'm encouraging you as a buyer's agent to not put in a date for the contract. My instructions are always upon 45 days upon lender approval. So if I got an approval letter February 1st, that means I would love to close within those 45 days, so March 15th. But the bank is going to dictate that. So if they say you have to close March 10th, well, that is going to, supersede the contract. So make sure you understand that the approval letter has a deadline and know what that deadline is. You have to meet that deadline. So make sure you're on top of their financing. Hey, buyers, are you getting everything that the mortgage lender needs? Because we're on this timeline, time's a ticking. And you really don't want to close that last day of the approval letter. There is always something that comes up. In fact, one of the live streams coming up, we'll talk about an actual closing, a short sale closing. And short sale closings, they do tend to take longer. So I would suggest that your buyer takes a whole day off. Sometimes it's done in 2 hours, but I've had it actually go into the next day. So you really, really do want to make sure you meet that deadline. If not, and the listing agent has to go back and ask for an extension, that could open up a whole can of worms. So they could have to go get another appraisal. Maybe the appraisal came in higher. They have to redo the approval. It's just a mess. So please, please make sure your buyers are aware that they should meet that deadline and not ask for an extension. Okay. So that's pretty much what I have for today. So please post your questions. I know Diana had one. Does anyone have one here in the live stream? If you do, please let me know. Okay, hold on. Let me go back to Diana's question. All right, Diana, after both buyers and sellers sign, both waiting for processing, a few months later, the lender is asking for almost 100,000 more. Is that possible? It's happened to my coworker. Is it possible? Yes, anything's possible. But Diana, when you say the lender was asking for 100,000 more, that is a red flag that the listing agent has no freaking clue what is going on. That has never happened for me. And that's because I have a process. I know how these banks work. I teach how these banks work. I teach about the BPO and the appraisal process. It should not be that way. You should be properly trained on how to list a short sale, go through the process, handle the BPO and or appraisal, and negotiate and get it approved. But yeah, that to me, Diana, it is possible, but that just is a huge red flag. I'm sorry, but that listing agent has no clue what's going on. Sucks. Penny Mac, timeframes. Penny Mac is typically FHA. They suck. Hey, I give total reality here. Okay, I'll just tell you how it is. Are you on the buy side, Karen? Yeah. Woo. Do your buyers absolutely love the house? Penny Mac, like I said, is typically FHA. FHA in general is a pain. I would ask the listing agent if they've been through a loan mod already, which is the waterfall process. But PennyMac is probably one of the worst banks to deal with. I don't like PennyMac. You know, and I've seen everything. So, any other questions? So, I have a really big announcement. And so I just want to briefly go over that. You probably have seen some emails from me or posts inside of the group. Now, this is an announcement of, hey, I have this deal going on for my coaching program. I already did that. And so I've stopped bringing on people temporarily. This big announcement, I'm calling it a massive announcement, is going to take place next Thursday at our live stream. Okay. I'm encouraging all of you to attend because it is going to be something that I've never done before. I'm not even sure how it's going to turn out, but I'm super, super excited about it. It's something that I need your guys' help with. And if you can get that done, then there's going to be a really, really awesome thing at the other end. So I'm going to post the link for you guys to schedule that. It is being scheduled through Calendly just so I can keep track of all of that. There is limited space. However, we'll have a replay and everything, but I am encouraging you to attend live because you will be the first to know about it. I think every single one of you will be able to take advantage of this. So please schedule. I just posted the link. I'll go ahead and post it in the live chat. And I am so excited about next, which is February 1. Can you believe it? On live stream 02/01/24. Okay. Let's see here. Diana, when the lender denied your buyers, how long should you let the buyer know right away or wait for a while? Awesome. I am so, so excited about this live stream. So hold on, I will go back to the live stream in a second. Diana, I'm not, you mean, I'm not really exactly sure what you're asking, but you mean if the bank denied the offer from the buyers? Usually they'll make a counter offer. So you do want to go back. As soon as the listing agent tells you what the counter offer is, you have to go back and tell your buyer.
Exactly.
Okay. And explain to them, you know, hey, this is the counter. Now, depending on the bank, I will know, like, okay, this is 100%, you know, yes, they want this. Some banks are easy to negotiate, but there are those negotiations. So a lot of times if it comes back at this price, you could still negotiate off of that. Okay. But again, if your buyers can avoid making offers on short sales unless you're on the other end and you know what you're doing, that would probably be ideal. All right, so thank you for everyone that's registering. So again, next week's live stream, same time, 11 a.m. It's not really a training, but it is a massive announcement. Everyone inside of the group, which there's like 1,700 agents, each one of you can take full advantage of what is about to happen, okay? And I am going to be rewarding people for that. So there's a little hint. So if you can attend live, you're going to get the first sneak peek of it. I think it's all very, very exciting. It's something that I've been working on since December. I think if you've been on these live streams, for a while, I'm always working on secret things behind the scenes. I have so much awesome stuff coming for you guys in this group. But the first thing is this massive announcement. And so I'm so excited to tell you about it. I don't want to get too far into it because it is a surprise. So be on the lookout for some hints next week. But you do have to register. So there's the link. Go ahead and register. It is not about my coaching program per se. It's not like that. It's something that I need help with. And that help is going to turn into some big stuff. So that's just a little hint. Otherwise, any other questions about buyers and handling situations with short sales and being on the buy side? Anything else I can do for everyone? Thank you, Valerie. Okay, so I will see everyone next Thursday. I hope you all can sleep because it's very, very exciting. All right, be on the lookout. Otherwise, this replay will be available probably tomorrow or Saturday. I'm a little bit behind this week with all these crazy snow days. So be on the lookout for that if you're looking for the replay. All right, thanks everyone. See you next week.